Good evening. Welcome, Wandering Beekeeper here. Glad to see anybody here. Says I have two viewers, maybe counting me and the bot, I don't know. It has been a week on top of a month, on top of a year, on top of, well, everything else, like everybody else is going through, and to some extent, you know, there's all this stuff. We're still not clear of the various issues with the bad side of the family, and they've started a new round, and we're having to. That's being quite vexing and quite exacerbating of, well, what would probably be diagnosed as PTSD at this point if I trusted anyone enough to go see a therapist. This is Tennessee. This is not a safe place to go talk to a therapist. So, it's I've been I've been hyper focusing on Minecraft actually for the last week. The Cobblemon server that I'm on has had a major release with a cooking mod that's an augmentation to the berries that came out with the latest update for Cobblemon. We can now make all the EV items, the various vitamins, and the battle items, the X items, and the guards back and dire hit, and all that sort of thing. And then there's a bunch of food that goes with it that has boosts for and buffs and so forth. I'm a Pam's Harvest Craft fan from, well, the first time I ever saw it. It was love at first sight. Um, I love that sort of mod. And then they made the dev made it a challenge. And so, of course, I had to be the one to hit level 40 of Kitchen Mastery first. My character now has a comically tall chef's hat to the point where if I look down and then pivot my character, it's like swinging the boom. People are going to have to duck as this hat comes around. It's quite a hat. Very pleased with the hat. It's been something to think about and something to focus on. Mask of the Rose has been on my mind to some extent, although I don't know if it. I went and looked at the achievements, partly to see what these new sigils are, and we'll have a look at those in just a moment. One is Confessor for having experienced a Helamus confession. The other is Confessed for having experienced the season of confessions. And in doing so, I was looking at the other achievements that I haven't unlocked yet, and there are some involving rats, and hence we are, I think, going to be focusing on the hat rat a bit here. We are, after all, carrying around a Rattus Faber as a chapeau. And this is a thing now. I mean, this game just gets more and more outrageous, doesn't it? It's just one thing and another. One thing and another. Never know, never know. So, let us go look at these sigils. We have here the weight that pulls all under. This sigil can be interpreted as powerless loyalty or the introduction of impermanence in a permanent place. I experienced the season of confessions. So there is the confessed. Over here, this is the confessor. The revelation that warps expectation. This sigil can be interpreted as the arc of a descent that is in fact a curve, or that which is altered has not ceased to be as it was. That seems a little pretzely. You experienced a Hallowmas confession, go back. We move on. I am wondering which of these might be the one that is on the forehead of our compatriot Moss. Do need to get a better look at the sigil on Moss's forehead the next time we speak, and try not to stare. That would be rude, but at least, you know, have a bit of a look. In the process of looking at the sigils, was looking at the achievements that are not yet unlocked, and there are quite a number of achievements for various ending options, and some of which can be encountered in combination with each other. It is possible to get, you know, 2 or 3 of them, and they're not like all mutually exclusive. One of them is definitely involves getting the rats properly introduced into society. Hence, our title card, the Hat Rat, because we are, in fact, carrying about being ridden by, I'm not quite sure. We haven't discussed the power dynamic in this relationship, and I think that really needs to be on the table. I mean, don't you? I'm walking around with a Rattus Faber perched on my head in place of a chapeau. This is rather a bold fashion statement, if nothing else. I mean, we really need to think about this. I'm sorry, I'm having a bit of a moment over this. The fact that if nothing else, it seems like our friend Algernon would sit more comfortably and more easily for both of us if he were to sit on my shoulder rather than on top of my head. It seems, well, I mean, I'm not even bothering with a chef's hat here. I'm not even bothering with a chef's hat here in this character. Unlike my Minecraft character, who has one tall enough to hide a fully evolved Raticate. But that's another story. No, this is more of a Ratatouille thing, or perhaps a jockey and horse situation. We need to talk about the power dynamic and have some discussion. There needs to be some negotiation here. I feel like there's a maybe a lack of active consent, something of an assumption that I'm all right with this. I mean, let's for heaven's sake, let's get into here, and then also I'm starting to feel like the there's an awful lot of loading done on the back end. The first act felt a little vague and unfocused and maybe a little thin on content, and then the second act started off with a Chekhov's gun going off, and there's been rather a lot of chasing about and a lot of sudden other developments, some of them directly related. I mean, there's a whole thing of the murder victim turning back up and the body possibly looking, well, the body being flatly stated to be a fake. So if the body is a fake and the supposed victim is walking around alive, why is Archie still under arrest? But there's rather a lot else. There's the whole bit with the Rattus Faber introduction to society and some various other things in our relationship with Rachel, and it's starting to feel like there's an awful lot going on in the second act, some of which maybe could have been in the first act, you know? I've suddenly got rather a lot of stories. I've got one ready to hand in, which I've got to get to that idiot, whatever he is, the preacher. I would like to speak with a couple more people about this, and then there's this has to be dealt with. An unknown and someone met in the depths of the Neath. An unknown did something of value. What's available? I could... Oh, taught speech. And... they still under the Neath. No. Now let's clear this one. Let's... swore eternal gratitude. Join congregation. Save and exit. That leaves a thing that we can ask questions about. That gets it in progress from having getting away from the exclamation point. Oh, but yes, here we go. I mean, this is Algernon. I mean, granted, he is a rat of exceptional breeding, what you might call an aristocrat. No, I'm sorry, you're not getting a rim shot for that one. It's just not happening. I'm not giving you the rim shot for it. And certainly not Algie. Well, I mean, Algie just... Algie is actually not a plant. There's rather a lot of discussion as to exactly how to classify algae. The taxonomy is undergoing rather lively debate these days, as it turns out. Things, you know, that you were told as a child that have turned out to be complete hogwash. Algernon is perched atop my head. There's a certain amount of grip implied here in the position of the feet and the splaying of the toes and so forth. And now I don't recall whether I specified whether Comrade Izvestia has hair or not. I think I'd have to go back to a cameo. There's something also arfing about the torso. Oh, right. We have the prisoner's jacket, which is... Well, encourages a confrontational attitude. I rather like the black coat, I have to say. Um, hmm. Mm-hmm. I've got to go see Archie at some point. Don't know that I want to wear a prisoner's jacket into a prison barge. It seems like a recipe for trouble and being mistaken for someone who, maybe shouldn't be leaving. Let's just... I also don't like the whole idea of being confrontational, especially while I'm carrying around a representative... good grief. Oh, for heaven's sake. A little bit early to be getting the fumble mouth. I'm carrying around a representative, a well-dressed one at that. That's a very smart green suit and stripy tie. It says that this is a rat of business. Of a brand new species of intelligent life. We have here something that brings into question all sorts of interesting things. Now, I actually dealt with this in 1879 with the Saurids, with Monsignor Girard. I'm waiting to see how much of it they kept. The book's supposed to be coming out not too long from now. Hopefully I'll get sent a link to get a copy or something. See what happens. Really have tried to sever ties with the company, but I want to see what they kept. This actually requires an investigation, a formal investigation by the church. The Anglican Church, which, after all, this is fallen London, and the Anglican Church is the only church that actually matters here. The Anglican Church is going to have a formal investigation as to whether or not Rattus Faber have souls. Whether they are in need of redemption. Being Rattus Faber, they do not share in the original sin of humanity. They are not human. They are not... There is a question as to whether or not they are in need of redemption. They may have not fallen from grace. They may simply have been lost. But this is actually a story we could spin. This is a story we could spin to bring them into society, if I can play it this way. Let me think this through. Rattus Faber were created by the same God as humanity, as created humanity, the Anglican deity. But they were lost. They did not have speech. They had not fallen from grace, but they had wandered out of sight, as rats do. They were rats. They went and hid themselves, and were sort of misplaced rather than anything else. When this unknown person found them, taught them speech, we don't know what happened to that person. The rats, meanwhile, have come to join the congregation. These are creatures possibly who the church is going to have to make a determination. Are read his favor in a state of grace already? I mean, it's really... Beekeeper, I'm glad we're about to religionize these rats. Well, we're trying to shoehorn them into fallen London society. And bringing them in as a species that is already in a state of grace and thus does not need salvation and doesn't need missionaries mucking about with them. They just need to be given space where they can come sit in the pews. It's a bit of a price to pay, having to go sit in the pews on Sundays, but it would get them into society in a way that, well, Algernon clearly wants to be. Let us get... I'm sorry, I've been going on about this for some time now. I do need to do this recall the past thing because it'll get us a Chivo. I'm always reliving London's last night on the surface. I try to put it out of my head, but it's still there. Well, Christmas preparations were different before. Of course they were. Before the fall, Horatia and Grizz were less comfortable together, and after the fall, there was a time when I didn't go to dinners. I'm gonna go with this one. Story crafting ideas discovered. Circumstance pre-fall. Continue. Are you ill, friend? You may find you have an appetite if you get out a bit. Take a walk and stretch the legs. Constable Hargett will take you if you want to go. I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about Constable Hargett wanting to take me, and I'm concerned about where he would take me. I don't want to go with Constable Hargett. I was grateful for the concern. It only annoyed me, or I felt nothing. I'm going to go with I felt nothing. I'm in shock. I didn't answer. I don't like to see you in this state. Come downstairs. We're centerpiece. Best to leave it. I've spent a lot of days like this, thinking back, trying to piece together the bits of the puzzle. As if I could realize something that would make sense of it all. Survivor's guilt is going to be part of it. Oh! That option has disappeared. I've used it. Let's see if it comes back tomorrow or, you know, later on or whatever. I don't know if I can only do that once a season. We'll find out. Head outside. Oh my goodness, there's so many things to do. We can go to the Ungulate. Visit with Archie. Deliver the final manifesto to Archie. Let's get that done. Dressed like this, I should only visit the prison hulk with Hargett's escort. Well, I'm going to have to anyway. The locals might leave me alone, but equally they might decide I look too tasty not to rob. Here now, says Algernon. I'm satisfied with this. I'm going with this rather loud... Hello, Freya Raccoon Cat. Welcome. Good to see you. We have Hargett. Someone to see you, Archie. Archie, who's, well, let's see how this goes. I can bring up my recent memory of Archie, which I just had. I can mention the demand for surface tea, which seems a bit like maybe something that I shouldn't bring up to someone who's in a prison ship, and devil only knows what they're giving him. I could just come straight to the point. Let's bring up the recent memory of Archie. I was thinking about how you tried to cheer me up after the fall. Or get me to at least leave my room. Everything happens in its own time. At night on the ungulates, sometimes you can hear things singing in the water. I bet you can. I bet it's the drownies. One of the more powerful items my character had in Fallen London was the Drowny Song of the Deep. Having learned the Drowny Song of the Deep, my character could really seriously mess with people. I'd heard them before, but never as clear as this. I can ask whether there were words. I could say that at least it makes a change, or I'm going to ask whether there are words. What are they saying? If it's that clear. Are there words? Lyrics? Aye. Most nights I cannot remember them by morning. Just sometimes a half sight of a kingdom underwater. Deep green water, and a throne without a king. Oh dear. The Drownies are not nice people. They tend to try to do the oh, what's the water horse thing? Damn it, I wrote it up. There's like 3 or 4 different names for it. The horse that comes up out of the water, and that if you touch it, it'll carry you off under the waves. And if you're there's different stories. Is most likely the thing eats you. No, a Selkie is a seal shapeshifter. I wrote up the Selkies for 1879. They're in one of the books, and there is a scenario that I had sketched out where the players are hired by a North Sea oil drilling platform because of a clash they're having with the fisher village. While this village of fisher folk has some Selkies among them, and it just gets complicated from there. Yeah, the players at some point realized that they are on the wrong side. I'm going to say that at least it makes a change. No, I'll have to look it up. I've got the... I don't want to step out of the game and go digging through the PDF right now. Makes a change from the rest of the ship? Even if it is your mind playing tricks? Trying to dismiss it? Or something worse? Yeah, could be real. Or that. I don't even know what it would be. It isn't the rats in the hull. Indeed, singing, alas, is something we have largely failed to master. I was never permitted in the choir at school for this reason. That's one reason, I'm sure, Algernon. There's a great number of those, but they did not go much for song. Last night I did hear to remember. Last night they were singing of something to do with Parliament. Oh, that sunken Parliament. All the ministers drowned. And there was much rejoicing. The building of Parliament did end in the Thames. I haven't been there to see the site, but there have been sketches in the newspapers. I hate to think what became of Grizz's uncle. I need to bring up the manifesto, yes. About the manifesto. I need supplies before I can pass anything along. There's a brief lull in the conversation. Damn it! Right, I have to go get I have to come up with some coin so that I can go to Ferret and buy the stuff. Ugh. Bloody hell, I just realized I've wasted... Well, screw it. I'm moving on. I wish them both a good morning. Come back as soon as you like. Tomorrow if it suits you. I just have time for another errand today. Yeah, let's try something else. I gotta come up with some coin. Head outside. Spirit shop wants coin. Okay, the coins are there where it wants me to spend. I need to earn. I need to earn a coin. Search the archives in the bazaar side streets. That's a new option. I don't remember seeing that option before. Let's investigate this option. This endeavor requires me to present myself as a member of the College of Auditors. Only as one of their number can I gain access to all the volumes confiscated from London's institutions of learning and archives of the Church. They are not far from the offices of the ministry, but hours lurking outside their doors reveals a consistent rule for those admitted. I need to have a more academic look if I mean to blend in at the archives. I should change. I can, I think the black coat actually does really well. Don't want to leave Algernon behind. Let's back out of this and see, can we head out and go somewhere else? Trying to think where I can go, where I'm going to be able to... I need 5 pennies. I have 3 pennies. Where do I get 2 more pennies? Bloody hell. Let's collect David's opinion for Archie's manifesto. What the... Why not? One must hope David does not have a prejudiced fear of vermin. I think we need a new word here because vermin is such a loaded term. You know, these are not unwanted. They're not creating a mess. They are attempting to be productive members of society. I mean, this is a rat of business. Look at the suit and tie. I'm satisfied with this. You find me taking counsel and avoiding my house, which is full of things I would rather not remember. I can allow Algernon's presence to make an impression. I can mention the demand for surface tea. Everybody wants to talk about the bloody tea. No, we're not talking about the bloody tea. Algernon makes a pretty speech on my behalf. David makes a few flattering remarks on my better points. David digresses into a little story about the population down near Tindergrounds. There are fewer beggars than there used to be. Dying off? I'd like to think that was a good thing, but I fear some of them may have died. Yeah, they probably have. The pickings are going to be much more slim for them. I mean, with the things as tight as it has been for everybody else. Ask David's advice about surviving the Neath. How do we survive in the Neath, do you think? especially if we cannot rely on the masters to look after us. I think we must study the place. I haven't wanted to put my mind to it. I can understand that. It's not a pleasant thought trying to work out the principles that govern the boatmen. But at the moment, we might as well be at the mercy of sorcerers. How would one go about that? One might endow a university or a library, perhaps, although we'll need more than that. Let's throw money at it. Right. Putting together the available talent in the area and doing some community organizing might be a better start. There won't be scholarship on the Neath yet. All the same, we ought to start as soon as possible learning what we can. Suggest asking devils for information. The devils have been here longer. They appear familiar with the metaphysical laws. I don't quite fancy interviewing Milton for his knowledge on the matter. Oh, look at the scowl. But I'm sure there are ways. It is a question that interests me. I used to be more involved in philanthropic projects before I became too sickly. And many of the schemes have been in disorder since the fall. We talk a while longer on the subject. Once he's started to give it some thought, David has schemes for the lighting and drainage of the Neath, not to mention regular sourcing of water and some provision for more uniform heating. The man's a regular Basil jet. These scientific considerations lead on to other practical ones: how to raise the funds for so much building work, how to oversee the effort. No one speaks for a moment. I'm feeling a very Joseph Bazalgette vibe off of David here. What's your view on memories? Is there anything you'd choose to forget if you could? Oh, Lord. I have the sense that some question here is bothering him. Admit there are a few things I'd scrub from memory, absolutely. There are a few things I'd forget if I could. I won't ask what they are specifically, but in general terms. Oh, I'd forget the night of the fall. Remember the night of the fall better than I'd like. Not enough to make sense of it, of course, but I remember over and over different pieces, the color of the sky and the sound of the bats. Ah, yes. Even after we stop speaking, he looks thoughtful and the conversation falls silent for a moment. Finally, he shakes off these reflections. I'm going to just be blunt and go, and I can ask about the experience after he had died, or ask about the experience of dying. He talked about the boatman. Let's follow that up. When you had passed over, what happened then? I was truly dead. I found myself on a riverboat drifting towards a far shore. There were others aboard, old men and women still wearing nightcaps as though they had died in bed, a workman with his body half crushed. I felt the companionship of all the souls that have passed that way or who will again. I could be smug that this isn't what the church predicts. Well, it's the bloody sticks. You know, I could ask whether this was the way to heaven or hell, or I could suggest that he think more closely about what he really saw. I get a bonus on the heaven or hell question from the coat I'm wearing. Let's go with that. Do you suppose you were going to an eternal reward, or the opposite? Well, he's Jewish. He doesn't believe in heaven or hell the way Christians do. It's not... Oh, lordy. I don't believe in such places. I never did, and nothing I saw on that boat changed my mind. As for the boatman, he told me that I need not stay, that I might come back to London if I would only offer him a small gift. Charon is asking for bribes. I think what I saw was only a journey, that there was a farther shore. But I did not reach it. Goodbye. I am not feeling well enough for this. At this point, I go back to Horatius. I'm going straight to the table. Story crafting ideas discovered, action studied, Nethi magic. Continue. Okay, here's this. We've got the full group here. We have Grizz, we have Moss with the sigil that is a sort of W and then a sort of, I don't know, upside down treble clef. If you turned it up, if you flipped it vertically, just flipped it up, it'd be an M and a treble clef or something like that. And Horatia. The Masters have been planning a celebration for the whole city to coincide with Valentine's Day. The organization is a disgrace. The supplies are insufficient and their distribution through the city leaves a great deal to be desired. Excellent. I beg your pardon? It just sounds so invigorating for you, Miss Griselda. Horatia, are you taking the piss? Point out that it's obviously meant as a distraction. I'm not going to commend Grizz's efforts. What the hell is she doing here? This whole thing, you know, I suppose everyone is meant to forget that it's a year since the fall. It has nothing to do with that. I don't think Mr. Page has remembered the significance of the date until I reminded him of it, in fact. The heck he didn't. The Masters of the Bazaar are very much about events and repeating events, and they are like clockwork on these things. Especially Mr. Sachs coming about every Yuletide over and over. Alright, I think I should make sure to help clear the dishes after eating. That sounds like a good thing. A lesson that I've tried to pass on, you know, the lesson I learned in the SCA. If you're in a new group, if you've dropped in with a new group, volunteer to help in the kitchen. There's always a need for another pair of hands in the kitchen at any sort of event. Make friends real quick. When the meal is over, I give Horatia a hand clearing up. Good of you, my friend. Let's review the day. It's been a day. Alright, baptize Algernon the rat. I've crafted a story about the conversion of the rats. I need to show it to Ferret or Theophilus. I've got to. Theophilus would prefer a more conventional narrative. Ferret is more likely to accept the unconventional. I have an unknown in it. Find a patron saint for rats. I'm going to have to wear academic garb and infiltrate the library of St. Dunstan's at the bazaar and seek a patron saint for the rats. Alright, so I'm going to have to leave Algernon behind. I'm going to put on the Admiral's hat and the bloody badge and see if that'll get me in. And then I'm still trying to deal with all this other stuff. Dear heaven, there's so much going on. I was complaining about this at the beginning of the stream. It feels like everything is coming due in the second act, and half of it didn't even get introduced until the second act. There's an awful lot of loading on the back end. I really think the whole plot of the rats could have gone in the first act, which felt a bit thin on plot, and then, you know, there was only one story to craft. At least the way it played out. I don't know, maybe we could have gotten to some of this stuff in the first act if I'd played it differently. We will find that out when I do the second playthrough. When I do the second playthrough, I won't be doing the voices and so forth. That'll be... "8 days remain in the season of Yule. Waiting for Mr. Sachs to show up. Grizz leaves me the newspaper after she's read everything of political import. The headlines today read, Pallid playwright's latest piece proscribed, indicted as infernal indoctrination. Nice to see that the paper is still alliterating the headlines. Some things have not changed. Oh, and by the way, that's not snow. Pallid playwright. Indicted as infernal indoctrination. It continues in that vein. The Renedies of Belgrave aggravates audience, arouses anarchy. Okay, we can in fact recall the past on a regular basis. Let's try that again and see if we get a new story element. Sometimes now I try to remember the surface. What it was like before Judgment Day, when we all still lived in a world of day and night, winter and summer. When Grizz kept her distance from the other lodgers and wore gowns. When there was enough food on the table, and it wasn't always the same. Sometimes I can't get my memory to go back further than the night of the fall. Christmas preparations were different before as an option we've seen before. We've had this Theophilus. Chase anything with Theophilus. I want to go see him. Someone had come to ask Archie about the Christmas services. Theophilus? May I rely on you, then, to read the second lesson? Och, if I must, but... The sacrifice of Isaac? No, that is to say, yes, that's the right lesson, but he isn't sacrificed in the end, of course. That naturally was the miracle that... that story. Am I remembering Archie right? It seems like Archie and Dower and... Oh god, do I have to do this? Theophilus is a little less condescending now. Oh yes, he is. He's a much humbler Tigger now that he's having to repair his own roof. Maybe Judgment Day has softened him. It's always been more partial to the fourth lesson. But consider how the second lesson ends. Your descendants will take possession of the cities of their enemies. That is so colonialist, imperialist. Oh my God. But that is the Anglican Church. That's the verse I most dislikes, is Horatia. With Horatia. Theophilus probably wasn't at all sympathetic. We can't pick and choose from the word. Some parts of the word are better than others. I will pray for your better understanding. Yeah, huh? I'll pray for you to accept the imperialism inherent in the faith. Yeah. Alright, I have to go do this thing. I am sorry, Algernon, but I'm going to have to put on the butthead hat. I'm going to... Oh. I could go with this. I'm going to go with the badge. The prisoner's coat is an absolute no. The tailor's apron is an absolute no. The black coat is the best option I've got. Alright, let's hope that I look enough like some sort of academic butthead to be able to get in. Search the archives. I need to have a more academic look if I mean to blend in at the archives. Oh, shoot. It's not good enough. I'd rather go somewhere else. Let's do a change outfit. Let's try the lapel and change to the Spearverse fork. I don't have much else. Head outside. Go to the bazaar. Try again. What does it think? Ah, still not good. Botheration. Fine. Let's go back to Algernon. And... the Vibrant Corsage. I'd like to play this game to learn more about our yellow-eyed friends. Indeed, Freya Raccoon Cat, I am interested in learning more about our yellow-eyed friends. I've been trying to go see Milton, and it won't let me go see Milton. Getting on my nerves. Alright, I've got to come up with 2 more pence. And I've got to manage to... I wonder if I can sell anything here. Maybe I could sell the butthead hat. Oh, here's Ferret. That's not bad at all, is it? Oi, comrade, look at this. Ferret lifted a few cloaks and watches and dashed at the bloomin' rats. Didn't christen 'em right up to Selligan. Oh. A christener, also known as a cleaner, is someone who can take a stolen watch or clock, remove the identifying marks, or even better, alter the identifying marks so that there's a different serial number on the item. This christens the item anew and brings it back into the marketplace because it can now be sold as it's not identifiable as stolen merchandise. So the rats are cleaning stolen merchandise. Not a mark or monogram left on them. And they keep a better time than they did before. I'll put them with the Moon Pearl Chokers. Well, I could draw swift conclusions about them both. I could suggest a charitable distribution of watches, or I could just laugh. Drawing swift conclusions about them both sounds dreadfully judgmental and sounds like I'm about to be an asswipe. Why redistribution of the goods? The rats are so skilled, Freya Raccoon Cat. Oh yes, the rats are very skilled. Fallen London, they're making friends with the rats gets you access to all sorts of wonderful toys. I'm just going to laugh. Haha. It's no joke, it's the new way of things down here. Look at Ivy's goods for sale. The owl mask, something respectable and ladylike. I can buy stuff. I'm looking to sell stuff. There's no sell option. Back. Confide in Ivy. What do you love best about the Neath now you've come here? I could admit to Ivy a truth I've hidden from everyone. I could mention the lack of hypocrisy, or I could apologize for not wishing to speak of it, which is backing out of the thing I just opened. No, we're going to be vulnerable. So I tell her. I tell her the way the Neath has changed my life. The good things that wouldn't have been possible on the surface. Don't worry, I'll keep that secret for you free of charge. And I'm glad you told me. What's the color in your story? You're not bad company to have around, I must say. Oh hey, we're zooming in a bit. I'd be glad to talk to you again if you were to come back. Often there's customers, but sometimes there aren't. I could go for a more romantic direction. I could go for a more seductive direction. Could encourage her since I also want to be friends, or I could make it insulting like Claire, I'm not interested in friendship. I don't want to be a dick here. Our second favorite questline in Sunless Skies was opening the Rat's Vault. It's just a heist movie, but they're rats. It's great. Oh yes, absolutely lovely. She's actively against being romanced, we thought. I'm pretty sure she is against being romanced, and, seducing is going to seem a bit, I don't know. It feels like I'm making an assumption here, given... yeah, let's go with the third option. I do want to be friends. Oh, point there. Coffee page being put up there. I do have a coffee, and if you drop in a $1 a month subscription there, you get my serial Dickensian novel, Bread Spotting. It takes place in a rough and tumble London. No fantasy element. 1856, bad enough as it is. I would like that. That suits. I have something for you. Some of us want to make ourselves at home in a place we weren't born to. If anyone asks when you're rubbing elbows in good company, you tell them you got it from me. I'm trusting you to spread the word. But if they ask, I charged you a good high price and you were glad to pay it. Or they'll say, Old Ivy's gone soft in the head. An elegant cloak. Oh, brilliant. Let's try this at the archives. Warm, handsome, hard-wearing, inspires a lofty attitude and an inclination to protect the weak. Oh dear. Continue. I'm going to go with my opinion is unchanged. I'm not going to quarter. Only platonic intentions actually sounds good. Let's... My face betrays my feelings. And we part. I can just manage another errand today. Change outfit. Torso. We're going to put on the new elegant cloak. And we're going to switch to the badge. And sorry, Algernon, but I'm going to go with the asshole hat. And we are going to try to go to the bloody archives. I need to have a more academic look if I mean to blend in with the archives. Bloody barfing hell. Oh. Actually, the line that I really want to use is from DC Comics. It's John Constantine, and the line is bloody felching hell. Because originally, as the script was turned in, he dropped 7 F-bombs in a row, and the editor said that was way too much, and so they changed it to something that if you look up, don't do it. Oh, this is why I have an adult content warning. I'd rather go somewhere else. This is why I have an adult content warning on my stream. I'm going to change outfit and get back to something a little friendlier. And, you know, a little more toward that. And I don't know, I really like that. Oh dear. Who sold you that cheap corsage? Do you know what you did to offend them? Should you not apologize post-haste? It's not that bad. Although I did at one time own a jacket. It's last I knew it was in the possession of my eldest. It was burgundy crushed velvet with black satin lapels and cuffs. Vintage 1960s formal jacket, sort of thing you might have worn to a prom. I wore it to a Halloween party with a white ruffled shirt, just a froth of ruffles down the front. A pair of gray jeans and white canvas deck shoes, and carrying a pipe and doing Fred McMurray impressions. And a woman stopped me and told me that the jacket was a crime against nature, and it's been known as the crime against nature jacket ever since. Molly has it last I know. All right, well, let's head outside. Let's see what we can do. There's things we can do. I desperately need 2 coins. Where can I get the bloody coins? I don't want to go there. It costs me money. Can't get the Theophilus. Let's see where the Horatio needs anything. Maybe I can earn a pence. Horatio won't mind me in this. I'm satisfied with this. Horatio seems glad to see me. Expressing relief and surprise at someone's continued survival continues to seem rude. Oh, you're still here. Thought sure you'd have kicked off by now. Oh. No, I'm not going to go there. Let's go with the Pallid Playwright's proscribed play that pissed off the whatever. I'm done with that. I didn't have peas for breakfast. I recount the newspaper story, yada yada yada. The usual boilerplate. Gossip is an uncharitable habit, the vicar says. If you could leave it in the parlor when you're done. Oh, well. I'm not gossiping. I was trying to discuss a story that was a headline in the morning paper. Wow, it's a current event. Well, let's move lightly to new topics. I laughed but let the subject drop. Rachel Landau came asking after you while you were out, friend. Seemed disappointed when I said you weren't in. Well, I'll react with grateful enthusiasm, which gets me an item bonus. Truly, how delightful. If you feel that way about it, I'm surprised you've kept Rachel waiting. Rachel Landau seemed to think you were neglecting Rachel. I meant to ask you whether there's anything I can help you with. I have a confession. I saw an enormous tentacle in the basement not so long ago. I didn't tell you and the others because I thought it might put you off the house. And it didn't seem a great danger that it wasn't doing anything other than stealing the odd supplies now and then. Seemed a lazy thing, really. Grew a bit fond. Oh dear. Now I hear tell there's been a man made of tentacles seen, bold as brass. Heard it from a few sources beyond Mrs. Besham's witterings, Besham, Broom, lurking in the dark where the caves have opened on the south bank. Admit disquiet. Not sure I'm comfortable with all these tentacles. Aw, rubbery man! Yes, the rubbery man, they're fun. Trading for warm amber. Look, as your landlady, I have to give notice if it takes over another room. But I'm glad to know it's worrying you too. Makes you feel a bit less like I'm losing the plot. I thought she was having some sort of a relationship with the tentacle in the basement, honestly. A couple of the neighbors have mentioned a sinkhole when they've stopped by for tea. Caves below the streets by the south bank. Movement in the depths, coils slithering in the gaslights. Ooh, it's eldritch and squamous. So it's not just as it seems. I could state that there are easier ways of finding new tenants. I could assume she wants me to go there. I could express doubt that there's a connection, or I could just accept that there may be a connection between our tentacle and the sinkhole. You know what? This is Fallen London. I'm just going to accept this. Stranger things have happened. Haven't they just? Mrs. Besham came in for a chinwag on her day off yesterday. Oh, I'm sorry. Said jewels have been spied falling from the roof. Those aren't jewels. Naturally, she got there too late to see any herself. But she had a good look around the parlor before I saw her out. Don't know that there's a connection between our basement and these caves. But best be on your guard. Trouble comes from below down here. Trouble comes from everywhere down here. I mean, we're down here. I mean, the Thames is flowing into the bloody Styx. Learn about the origin of tentacled creatures below. If anyone knows the way to this place, it'll be Harjit. Bloody hell. For a moment, no one speaks. My business is done. I hear you've been speaking with Miss Landau. More than you need to just for taking the census. I don't know whether Rachel does like me, but I hope so. I would be delighted to know Rachel better, but I'm not sure of her feelings. I'd have a caution about courting her if that's what you're doing. Her heart's been through a great deal with David dead and coming back. Whatever she might feel about you now, it'd stand to change when the wounds heal up a bit. I'm going to promise to think about this, because it seems like good advice. I'll bear that in mind. You bear it in mind. I'm no in a hurry to change what we are now. I shake my head to clear it. Boilerplate. Horatio sits at dinner soon afterwards. Prepare for supper. There are a few minutes of preparation. Story crafting ideas discovered. Circumstance beneath London. Now, Grizz, I've been getting new supplies. New supplies. Yes. Wait. The mark on Moss's head is mirror imaged from the last scene. Have they flipped the artwork to put him on the other side of the table? The upside down M is on the other side of the treble clef. Oh, that's a shame. I believe they have just mirror imaged the artwork and forgotten about the bloody sigil. So now there's a question as to which way the sigil actually is supposed to go. Is it the clef and the W, or is it the W and the clef? Not to be confused with Dr. Clef. That's well, Dr. Clef is an SCP in to begin with, and then yeah, that's a whole thing. A humid, fleshy odor arises from the basement if I stop in the stairwell. A scent like hot bacon and the sweetness of ripe fruit. Is it reproducing down there? I am forbidden to visit. We are all, always, forbidden to visit. Chew. Swallow. I'm not going to avoid eating the food. I'm eating it whatever it is. And every day's meal is finer, richer, more exotic. It isn't just the meat. There are spices I've never tasted before. Make sure to help clear the dishes after eating. When the meal is over, I give Horatio a hand clearing up. Good of you, my friend. Review the day. Did we make any progress at all? I have to ask Carjet for guidance to the Den of Rubbery Creatures. I hope it doesn't cost me a penny. And I really am trying to find a way to go see Theophilus, but Ferret is more likely to is the only one I've got access to. I think I'm going to go on and show the story that I've got to Ferret. 298 days since the fall. 7 days remain in the season of Yule. As usual, I resort to the morning papers because, you know, let's start the morning off with Bat Boy. The headlines today read, Jovial master of debate offers vigorous contradiction on matters of theology, philosophy, botany, biology, economy, theosophy, and natural law. Any stance gladly adopted, services reasonably priced. Engage now to argue against your fears of coming apocalypse. What an interesting advertisement. It sounds like somebody's just sat down at a table with a "Change my mind" banner with nothing, no view stated above it. Just change my mind. I'm here for an argument. No, you're not. Okay, we're going to do the recall the past thing because it does get us stuff. Learned that I should do this. I remember the days of the fallen fragments. There are a few moments that I'm always drawn back to, memories that stand for everything else that happened. It really wants me to go to Christmas preparations. Rachel said something curious the day David returned. I'm going to go see Rachel. Obviously, it's dropping anvils all over the place that I should go see Rachel. We were leaving the graveyard the day of David's return, but of course we didn't know yet that he was coming back. Horatio went home rather than coming onward to the Landaus with us. It's hard work grieving by yourself. We're meant to have relatives around. Yeah, sitting Shiva, yeah, you're meant to be able to focus on the grieving process while friends and more distant relatives take care of all the daily chores and stuff. I mean, he's not arguing, he's just contradicting. An argument is a connected series of statements intended to establish a proposition. Contradiction, by contrast, is just the automatic gainsaying of any statement the other person makes. Indeed. Indeed. We're meant to trade stories of the dead. May their memories be a blessing. But part of our family was left on the surface, and part was lost in the fall. Part doesn't speak to us since Mother married beneath her, and part doesn't speak to us since we changed synagogues. Oh, that's a thing. Someday, I should finish the, I really want to finish the New York storyline I was writing for 1879. One of the characters is a, Jewish immigrant. The whole story was about immigrants. And part doesn't speak to us because they don't like what I write in the Lily of London. It's very fractionated, our support. Almost entirely gone. I suppose I'll end by writing him into my stories even more than he was before. He would have hated that. But I don't know a better way to do the work that has to be done. What work? I don't know a better way to do the work that has to be done. What are you putting into your stories? Because this is a thing I've always done with my role gaming and my fiction and so forth. Games reinforce behavior by their mechanic and by their stories, by their plots. Stories themselves, if they get you invested in the outcome, make you hope for a specific thing. It's a good sketch. Oh, yes. This game's got me ruminating on quite a lot. Now, the four characters, one was a French woman who was displaced by the Zone Rouge. One was a black man whose father was a technician in the 1870s. And let's see, change outfit. One was a Asian fellow whose parents were immigrants from China, and one was a Jewish immigrant from oh Gosh, Poland, Russia, I don't remember. It's yet another family fleeing the Tsar's pogroms. Where are we going today? We still can't get into the bloody archives. I've tried all sorts of different outfits, and it's just not getting me there. Don't know how to get there. I need to go see Rachel. Continue my seduction of Rachel. I've been hinted rather broadly that I need to pay more attention to her. Rachel is familiar with me by now. I'm taking Algernon with me because I need a wing rat. You have a visitor. I'll wait for Phoebe to go. Good to see you. I pause and look in Phoebe's direction. There she goes. I could flirt with Rachel and just get straight to the point. I could bring up my recent memory of Rachel. I think that would be the best option. It is the highlighted one. I'm thinking about what you said to me when we were walking back from the graveyard before we found David alive. About grief being work for more than one person. There are ways and ways of sharing it out. No one speaks for a moment. Rachel brings up a legend common amongst the servant classes that the Neath contains many other fallen cities. It's established in this game that London landed on top of a previous city. They say it's just the way the floor of the deep ocean is covered with bones. When a leviathan dies, it sinks to the bottom and there is no one to bury it. Will fall. I'm glad you weren't away. Do continue. I want to hear the extent of your repertoire. Let's see what kind of game you've got. I could try kissing her. I could admit some feelings for her, or I could finish this conversation. I think the highlighted admit some feelings is the best option here. We divert ourselves for a good while talking about our fondness for one another. Where did it begin? Why does it continue? What new symptoms does it demonstrate? I prepare to go, but we find we each have more to say. I must return to my writing, I'm afraid. It has been distracting. Alright, she's going to see this on my face. Oh, maybe not. Off we go. Oh, that really didn't accomplish anything. I expected it to accomplish a bit more. Let's see if I can get this finished. Is venerated. Save and exit. Head outside. Go off to Ferret Shop, and I can't hand in the hagiography. Botheration. Can't even get there. Sunken Parliament, I've got nothing I can do there for some reason after I heard all about it, and there was this whole thing about it seems like I should be able to go there. It really does seem like I should be able to go there. Oh. Alright, I'm going to have to ask Arja to show me a route. I hate having to deal with the cop. Perhaps Harjit will find Algernon an amusing deviation from the tedious structures of fashion. I'm satisfied with this. Ms. Vistia, it's good to see you. Allow Algernon's presence to make an impression. Algernon makes his bow to Harjit and extends one paw in greeting. Harjit appears to recognize some common strand between us. Yeah, I begin to think this rat is weaving a thread to me. The conversation turns to the behavior of the animals, which is ever more peculiar and alarming. Ask Harjit about some new destinations. The Devil's Townhouse. There it is. Have you seen any devils? If by that you mean the people with the yellow eyes? Yes, they've taken over a townhouse that way. He points out a direction. You can see them coming and going sometimes, and the occasional vicar standing outside to stare in. Yes, yes. Yeah, like the sickos. This path is more than usually complicated. Several times we stop and retrace our steps. Boilerplate, boilerplate. Devil's Townhouse. New location. Archer takes a look at the Devil's doorstep and raises his eyebrows. It's plain he has no taste for this company, so I say goodbye and go on alone. Their door knocker is made of brass. Unreasonably warm brass, and is shaped like the head of a goat. The attendant is human enough, but she refuses to answer any questions. I wait in a very old-fashioned wooden chair. I keep feeling that the armrests are nipping at my wrists. We feel like he's being polite because rats aren't part of society, and someone like that antagonizing cops is a quick way to not be someone anymore. Yeah. I'm invited inside at last. Goal achieved. Oh, hello. I fear you may have taken a wrong turn. This is not a shop. Nor a lending library. I could angle to impress the lady with lies. I could gamble that the lady shares my sense of humor, or I could joke. Milton, we've met. I'm going to gamble that the lady shares my sense of humor. My name is Vistia. I go by Milton. I dislike forenames. You may address me as Virginia, or ma'am. We are establishing the power dynamic already. Yes, there is something going... Oh. Yeah. I am human once I walked under the open sky. If you can't say the same, at least break the horrible truth to me gently, will you? They both fall extremely still. I'm not sure that they breathe. I'm acquainted with the Landaus. I believe you know them as well. By reputation only, I assure you. The suspected murderer is being tried soon. I have taken up the task of, investigating. There's a brief lull in the conversation. Ask Milton about his work. I don't want to end this conversation just yet. We've finally gotten in to see the devils. I could ask about the purpose of this building. I could ask whether it's true that people here collect souls. I'm not wearing the Spirifer's fork. Or I could simply ask about his work here. Let's go with what is the purpose of this building? What sort of business is typically done here? Diplomacy, commerce. Contracts are written and signed. Gathering of information. Ask whether they're solicitors. Ask whether it's an academic business, or ask whether they are engaged in espionage. No, they are devils. There are some things that devils won't do. You know, I think just the highlighted one seems innocuous enough. You mean this is an academic establishment? Are you engaged in research? No, I wouldn't exactly say that. My colleague is known to engage in experiment. Do tell. I'm keen to hear about your business all the same. I could invent a fabulous tale of my reliability in all matters. This is throwing the corsage in. I'm not sure that I want to confabulate at this point. That always seems a bit risky. I could joke. Doesn't usually go well. Or I could stand closer to Milton and ask again. And I thought you were getting to trust me. Milton hesitates. I'm trusting you. Don't betray it. Oh, the eyebrow went up. Ooh. Am I in the way of your important work? In truth, I've not yet decided what to do with this place. Would you say London is worth ruling? I could answer flippantly. I could answer fiercely. Or I could treat the question as rhetorical. I'm going to... Bother it, I'm going to be flippant. Why not? London has enjoyed ruling other places often enough. I need to bring in the closing words from, oh gosh, what was this, the silly thing called Victoria something or other? They took a comedian named Victoria and sent her to a bunch of places named after Queen Victoria, and it just went all sorts of haywire. You have now taken as much time as we can spare. If you come back, do try to have a good reason. It's getting late, so I'm heading back home. Go straight to the table. We've met the devils. We've opened the path to their townhouse. Person, Virginia. Yes, Virginia, there is a clause in the contract. New ships have come to the Wolfstack docks today. Ah, the Wolfstack docks. I have so many memories of those places. Ooh, some of them not so great. Had a captain who was eaten by his crew because he ran out of money to buy rations. Which are those, Miss Griselda? The same they ever were. I've forgotten how London streets go together. Wolfstack docks replaced the Wapping docks in the Isle of Man. I'd forgotten how London streets go together. All the names have changed. Again, clear the dishes. Alright, this is giving us a chance to review the day. I can get Harjit to give me guidance to the den of the rubbery creatures. Okay. Let's get back to where we were. Oh, hey, Demon Dog is also here. Welcome, Demon Dog. Glad you got here in time to see the devils for the first time. We've been working toward that for 6 episodes now. Finally got in to see the devils. You know where their townhouse is? Get there. All right. We are on the next day. And having learned, we're going to do the recall the past thing. Who am I going to accuse? The Carringhams. Tainted drug. Motivator. No bother. Okay, that's got all those ready to hand in. There we go. Let's see where we go from here. Oh, things just lit up like a Oh, all over the place. The Devil's Townhouse. Oh, I could ask Milton about whether Ivy had the means of murder. Take the census with the devils. Maybe I can get a penny out of this. I can get a couple of pennies out of this. One must hope Milton does not have a prejudiced fear of vermin. I'm satisfied with this. Hello. What do I owe the pleasure? I'm going to explain. I don't have my badge with me, but I'm collecting census information for the Ministry of Accounting and Recounting. I see. I'm going to simply ask. Who else lives in your household? I reside alone. Except for my servants, naturally. And some creatures of various age and provenance whose species would, I believe, exclude them from the present inquiry. That is oddly non-specific. That is very carefully worded here. No, I am not responding condescendingly. That seems... Let's just go on and ask about his remains. You are an intriguing specimen. Do you have any lovers, spouses, friendly barmaids? Ah, an interesting question. Several persons have believed themselves to be romantically attached to me. Would that do? Tell me something. What is your most compelling desire? Oh, he's doing the Lucifer thing here. He's leaning in and going, what do you really want? Power, freedom, love, truth. To know the truth. To be undeceived. Most people would rank that among the foremost tortures of hell. He lit up. You think you could weather it? It's like sniffing a million magic markers all at once, isn't it? That's part of what I'd like to know. The total perspective vortex. You might find you dodge knowing in spite of yourself. Humans are very good at dressing any unpleasant fact in silk and feathers until it no longer offends the eye. I could try kissing him, I could ask him about his work, or finish his conference. Let's ask him about his work. Keep him talking. I've heard a rumor that you ask people for their souls. Me? All of you, that you go around asking for souls. I'm more interested in unpublished manuscripts, poetry, that sort of thing. So you are a publisher? Dear me, no. Oh, is he gaining pleasure from locking away unpublished manuscripts never to be seen? That would be cruel. I am keen to hear about your business all the same. Stand closer to Milton and ask again. And I thought you were getting to trust me. Milton hesitates. I'm trusting you, don't betray it. I do collect souls, but not, let us say, in bulk. Oh, the eyebrow's gone up again. And now he's reaching for the cuff. There are wholesale dealers, souls by the gross, etc. I am more of a specialist merchant. For my taste, the literary soul is especially intriguing. He's after Rachel's soul. Ask whether they're using the church meaning of soul. When you talk about a person's soul, do you mean the same thing a preacher would? Better to ask whether a preacher means the same thing we do. Some people don't even miss their soul once it's gone. Do visit our little consulate again sometime, comrade. I wish to know more about you and your friends. Consulate. There's a good word here. Knowlton's referred to the building as a consulate. Canned laughter. Locking away unseen manuscripts? What is this, HBO? Yeah. Did you not... the spirit... yeah, I have the Spirifer's fork. I didn't wear it. I think I should have. I'm in no hurry to change what we are now. Let's just fade out here. Okay, the bazaar. Get these census pages delivered. Yes, I'm going to change. Put the ministry badge on to go see him, but otherwise I'm going to stick with the cloak and the wrap. Whatever resentment Grizz may feel, she is restrained from expressing it with Mr. Pages here. Do you have anything more? Hand over a finished census page about Milton. The trick is not to look at the back of the penny at all. I'm up to 4. This one is not a citizen of London. He will come from points west and is not capable of love. Interesting that hell is to the west. I mean, Pittsburgh is to the west of London. There is that, or Trenton, New Jersey. I spent 5 months in Trenton. It was one of the worst periods of my life. Grizz reaches for the pages, frowning. It should be filed among honey and roses. Interesting. That is enough of my official duties for the moment. You will go home now. I render my thanks and good wishes to all parties and bow myself out. I'm going to just leave that alone. Ooh, it seemed like a risky thing. It isn't long until dinner is served. Go straight to the table to deal with the catch. Oh. Moss is not here. Grizz is not here. Okay, it is time to take my Radhay geography to Ferret. Let us see if I can actually complete one of these bits of storyline here. Got 4 pennies. I need 1 more penny. Damn it. It's where to get the damn penny is driving me crazy. Just... Ooh. And the big rollover to 300 days. 5 days remain in the season of Yule. Move forward. I get to the morning newspaper after Grizz is done with it. She's probably done the crossword in ink. The headlines today read... Blazing light observed at Z. Conflicting accounts from onlookers. Alright. We do the recall the past thing. Reach for another memory under that jumbled grab bag. Archie searched his books for some precedent. I'm surprised at you trying to read in this light, Archie. He held up the volume he was perusing. I thought I remembered there was a bit about the Welsh tornado here and I was not wrong. Makes an elevating change from your usual reading about Medici poisoners, I suppose. He was reading about the Italian family known for, yeah, she had caught him a day or so before reading a history of toxins over the supper table. This had been the subject of quite a few jests since. Well, he is working on being a doctor. What is wrong, pray, with trying for a wee bit of knowledge as a druggist? Sola dosis facit venenum. The dose makes the poison, as the books say. Nothing's a poison unless you give the wrong amount. Experimented with drugs. Change outfit. Lapel. Let's go to the Spirifer's Fork, just in case I run into a devil. Go back. Head outside. Going to Ferret's shop. We're going to speak with Ferret about Algernon's baptism. Algernon is game for the visit. I'm satisfied with this. Don't mind me if I just feed a bit of cheese to your hat there. Trade route of the Sardinians or Algie will have to make do with cheddar. Oh, don't call him Algie. He doesn't like that. Tell Ferret about the Prophet King's offer. This explains the relationship between religion and rats. We met a rat calling itself the Prophet King by the Ungulate. The who now? An old rat, very old, or many rats bearing the same title. They said if you want to get closer to the rats, they'll initiate you. You'd be one of us rather than we one of them. That's not what I thought would happen. A saint of rats, what is a rat? Suppose it makes more sense than old Eligius still kicking about. Eligius? There we go, Saint Eligius. Saint Eligius was the name of the hospital in Saint Elsewhere. It seems interesting that the hospital that was based on Boston's City General, better known as Boston Shitty, was named after the patron saint of rats. Boston City General sits at one end of an area known as the Combat Zone, and at one point saw so many gunshot wounds that the U.S. Army sent doctors there to train them. Seems silly, really, to think they'd just follow our ways. As though they hadn't been here long before. Exactly. Vanity it was that made me think I could bring the rats into religion. Well, thinking they had religion of their own. They took what they needed from Eligius, I think. They did not say what became of him after. They will meet us in the crypt of St. Albans if you wish to join them. No time like the present, is there? Maybe it's time I paid me dues for all my years catching rats. They're about to become an honorary rat. Lead on, Algie. It's time. Well, time to go down into the dark and see what the darkness does. C.G. Cherry wrote a novel called 40,000 in Gehenna, and there is a point where the main character has to go down in the dark and learn the ways from scratch. Get it down to the basic game of Pebble, Put and Take. I can't explain it, it would take way too long and spoil too much, but you need to read the novel 40,000 in Gehenna by C.G. Cherry. It's absolutely brilliant. Come on, Algernon, we don't want to be late. Indeed not. I doubt tardiness is a virtue in the Church of the Rat King. I imagine there's an inventive list of punishments that would make Torquemada blush. Torquemada is not somebody I want in... That's not a name I want in my mouth. Always a help, Algie. Time to find out what it means to join the congregation. Oh, here we are. The crypt has been opened. A chill air emanates from below. My skin bristles as though it can sense eyes upon me. There are many shadows in the church. It is impossible to know who is watching, or in what number. Candles have been lit. They've been carved to resemble rats. It seems best not to dwell too much on this. And I love the Festivus pole that they've got. It seems like it might have been a pine at one time. That the winding ribbons around it just makes it more sad. Or how it was achieved. Well, Rattus Faber have very clever hands and they're very good with tiny knives. Been a while since I was in a church, though don't suppose this will be much like those other times. A prophet has no honor except in his own house, but this is a king among prophets, and this is not their house. Well, let's hope they're in a welcoming mood. You came. Most would balk. Even St. Eligius did at the last. The rat-catcher will approach the relic. A little rat shall lead them, and in the darkness the rat-catcher should decide what they are. Imitatio rodentis, or a rat standing tall. The rat and the rat-catcher must go alone. Wish Ferret luck! Right here. There's some comfort in that, at least. Half expect all the lads from the old rat fanciers to jump out and yell, "Surprise!" There are no rat fanciers here, Ratcatcher. Only you, the darkness, and the rats. And me, I'm coming too, Ferret. Ah yes, your tame sponsor. Come along, plump little domesticus. This will be instructive. As for you, you will remain in the darkness, but you too will have a part to play. They go down to the crypt. There's a silence for a long time. I wonder if I insisted on going, if I'd be witness to it. It seemed pushy. Then at last, squeaking. I can make out a voice in the dark. I'm going to try and make out the voice. I can make out the light of a candle. In the darkness, there is neither beginning nor end. You are not owned and have no mark upon you. There is no distinction between your naked skin and that of your brother and your sister. The murmurs fade to indistinction. Continue to listen. I hear a clock chime, and then the sound of breaking metal. A tick continues and then ceases. Imitation of the saint who you will surpass, to be fixed and constant, to be one of many and many in one. There is only 1 hour, and it is the rats. Time is a tyranny. In the dark, you are without border and without end. The words fade again. I strain to hear anything. Since the closing of the ceremony. I hear a sigh like something falling to the ground, soft as silk. Then a great chorus of squeaks. There is a saint in your belly and a swarm in your skin. You are endless. You shall never die. You shall know neither master nor king, prophet nor tyrant, for you are all of those things within. From below we rise. I feel something soft and fragile as a bird's wings shift against my chest. It scurries up my chest, my neck. I feel a whisker against my lips. Something bites hard. Blood spills and my lips open, and something goes in that tastes sweet and honey and hard as leather. I swallow without meaning to. Echirodentis! For a moment, I see Ferret. They are crowned in candles that drip wax onto the hundreds of rats that crawl across their skin. This is getting very Shadowrun here. Thank you, Wing Princess. I see some moderation being done. Thank you very much. Then, mercifully, the candles sputter and go out. A match strikes, light returns. They are transfigured. We see that you did not remember your place. Once, we ate a saint's tongue. He gave his voice before he abandoned us. There is something in your stomach too now. You will never be free of us. You will hear us in the dark. We will not be silenced. We will know you. You will leave now, and take this ferret with you. Let's get ferret out of here. They'll be alright with a nip of something strong. And when they no longer think they're speaking with 1,000 tongues at once, I am no longer singular. Or perhaps I am the most singular. Funny, you smell familiar. Come on. I sense the rat's retreat. The darkness is merely that once more. I'm alone here. It seems wise not to linger. Goal completed! We didn't exactly baptize Algernon the rat. We, Ferret experienced what it is like to be a rat king. Then I'm flashing on Shadowrun Hong Kong because there's that whole thing, which is not quite what I wanted in the back of my head going into the scene, I think. Find a patron saint for rats. Continue. It's... Judging by the clock, I can afford another urn today. Whew. Oof. 2 quests resolved. Okay. Back. Let's head outside and see what else I can get into that might get me into all sorts of... The Devil's Townhouse. I could take the census with Virginia, and that would get me my 5th penny. The Fork has an alluring menace about it. Most likely no one will expect me to exchange news of the day, and I'm going to see the Devils. So wearing the Spirifer's Fork seems appropriate. According to the clerk, you had an appointment with me. No appointment was on the schedule this morning. Tell her to be quiet seems just... No, not a good idea. Turn this aside with humor. I think I'm going to just note the lack of competition for her time and be a bit, I knew you would be at leisure to see me. I never do seem to encounter any dignitaries here when I visit, either from Hell or from London society. Virginia does not snort. A person of her bearing could never be said to snort. The sound is the same, though. Explain that I'm working for the Ministry on the Census. Don't have my badge with me, yada yada. You may have mistaken your authority. The masters do not direct us. Virginia is a fine name. Fashionable. I know 3 or 4 ladies of that name. One tries to accommodate the local culture. That is, one tries until it becomes too much bother. Oh dear. No, I'm not responding condescendingly to a devil that is doing the whole thing with the large bosom and the big swoopy hat and looking very much like another character who is an 8-foot-tall vampire. Who else lives in your household? I have a maidservant, a housekeeper, and 3 drones. One expects that she is not speaking of a remote-controlled electronic flying device, nor of male bees. Simply ask about her affairs of the heart. Are you in love? Do you keep your beloved's heart in a jeweled coffer? I have no romantic involvements that you need report to your employers. None of their fucking business. No one speaks for a moment. I suppose you must have met with Mr. Pages and visited the ministry. While you were there, did you happen to see any of its maps and charts? There is a territorial matter in some dispute. Remind her that maps are now illegal. Maps? Those are forbidden now. For you, the laws only apply to you. The masters apply no such rules to themselves. How about this, then? Did you chance to see a piece of stone with writing on it? Writing that perhaps made your eyes water and your hair prickle as though your scalp were about to catch fire? Admit that I did see it. It's the only option I've got. I did see that, yes, on Mr. Page's desk. Magnificent. How large was it, would you say? Would it fit in my purse? Did it appear too hot to touch? Did the air ripple? Do I need to wear gloves? Or go barehanded in case of a devil? Would you say that it was well guarded? Are there any mirrors in the room where it is kept? Because mirrors... well, they can travel through them, if I recall correctly. Did any other masters supervise it, or only Mr. Page's? Tell me. Her tone changed quick. Oh, yes. She wants to know about the security. I answer a few of her questions, but there are so many, and some are so strange, that it is many minutes before we're done with the topic. I do not think I have told her everything she wants to know, but it's more than she expected from me. Look for a peculiar paperweight in Page's office. Goal complete. L rewards service rendered. Wait here. She goes to the cupboard and produces an ingot of brass. When I touch it, I draw back in surprise. It's not so warm that it burns, but it's not comfortable to hold for long in bare fingers. There is a law above that all things must grow cold in time. This is Hell's reply. Is it getting hotter? No, but it will never go cold either. Theophilus would get use out of this, but perhaps only if he had no idea where it came from. So might Horatio, for that matter. Oh, let's live dangerously and flirt with her. My next comment is a bit warm. One must question your sincerity. The conversation waits on Virginia. We've reached the end of my time. At least you don't say whatever you are thinking like most of London, but dishonesty is not alluring in itself, so pray don't feel I will pine for you in your absence. Ouch! By now, Horatio will be wondering where I am. I'm going to change clothes before dinner because I want to get the Spirifer's fork off and go back to the blue flower. No Grizz, no Moss. Just dinner with Horatio. Okay. Well, whew, cleared rather a lot. I've got one census page. I've got 4 pennies. I think one more. Let's see. It is, yes. Let's get on to the next day here because I think I can clear 2 more things here. 301 days since the fall. I've got 4 days remaining in the season of Yule. Pardon me rushing through a bit. I would like to report a murder. Yeah. I'm the first to the morning paper. Headlines today read, pigeon population at St. Paul's over-eradicated by over-hunting. I'm sorry. This is coming up with all too many things. The pigeons being hunted out of existence by starving people thing is... Yeah, we move on. Alright. We'll do the recall the past thing, because I need to do it. Constable Hargett checked on us that night. That day, when the sky had gone red, even though it wasn't yet time for sunset, Hargett knocked on the servant's door. He was carrying a lantern. There he is. All well in this house. Any wounded, any missing, any dead? Anyone bunking with you that didn't live here yesterday? It was Horatia who answered, of course. Everyone's here that's supposed to be here. No need to be concerned about us. It's the line of duty. There wasn't anything to find. If anyone does come to stay with you that doesn't belong, I'm not turning away anyone from my door that comes in need of food or a bit of shelter. I was only going to ask that you inform the constabulary, in case they're suffering from confusion and have relations looking for them. At the time, I thought Hargett was just being civic-minded. I didn't realize he was missing someone of his own. Let's see... I think we were glad when he left. Perhaps I'll find more elsewhere. I don't know what he was looking for, but I have the notion I didn't want him finding it here. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to be going off to do a couple things. Let's first change lapel to the badge so that I can get rid of the page. Okay, satisfied. Oh, do you have anything more? Hand over a finished census page about Virginia. Mr. Pages is pleased enough with my information to give me 2 pennies. I'll have one left over. Pages goes through the pages of this census with growing interest, studying some pages closely. Then suddenly it stops and throws the sheaf on its desk. She is known to us. She is not from the 5th city at all, not even the 1st. Hell exchanged its leaders late in the 4th city. We were otherwise occupied. We are unfamiliar with the newcomers. We surmise she is ambitious or in exilement. That is enough of my official duties for the moment. Let's flirt with Mr. Pages. I feel I've seen a side of you that other lenders never see. Your interest in the landscape of the city, your concern for the census, your lexical tastes. None of the other masters keep such a pet. It is time for you to depart. Oh. Yeah. Yipes. Let's go with my opinion is unchanged and bugger off. Just been told, he is not in the market for a pet. I have time for one more errand today. We go off to change outfit. Let's go back over to the Spearver's Fork because, you know, it's going to unsettle people outside, and off to Ferret's shop and buy the ingredients Archie needs because I have the penny. Algernon's game for the visit. I'm satisfied. Don't mind me if I just fit a bit of... we've seen that. Asked to buy the drugs Archie commissioned. I was looking for these. I hand over the list of ingredients Archie wanted. These all for you, then. You've taken up a new medical hobby. I'm going to rely on the honor of the criminal fraternity. It's for a friend of mine. You might be acquainted. I'm acquainted with his shopping list at any rate. Wouldn't have thought he was in a position to put himself in the market much these days, so to speak. Have another look at the list, then a look under the shop counter. Some of these articles are challenging to come by. Got to be compensated for the time and trouble, don't I, and the work of my right companions. That'd be 5 pennies for the lot. I will pay a fair price. I'll give you 5 pennies for that batch of ingredients for Archie. It's a fair price. Here you are, then. They push an assortment of bottles of curiosities across the shop counter. Don't drink the one with the white wax on the cork. Don't lick the chemistry. Come to think of it, don't drink any of them. Silence falls. Finish this conversation. Farewell. Take care out there. Lots of biting creatures in the alleys these days. Lots of biting creatures. I'm starting to think they got my old apprentice. It's time to go home. Go straight to the table. Kind of flipping through this very quickly here for a moment. Oh, bloody hell, Harjit here. Archie's trial is scheduled in a few days' time. If there's anything you had to tell me about it, you have 3 full days left to do so. Further evidence against our friend? Or further alibis? You're intruding on our supper. Tell him I found a solution. A solution and we'll bring it soon. I've worked out the truth. I'll bring it to you. You know where to find me. This would not be necessary if you had given us warning. Archie could have gone into hiding. There are ways, under the city, within it. I agree with Horatia. Archie knows them better than anyone. Have no patience. Coming here putting the responsibility on us. If he has a bad conscience, let him repair the damage himself. Usual thing. I'll go straight to sleep. I want to get on to one more thing here. 3 days remaining. Grizz leaves me the newspaper after she's read everything of political import. The headlines today read, Vatican encyclical Lapsus Londinensis affirms support to all children of God, rebukes Anglican Church for abandoning flock, confirms that devils are enemy of the Church. Catholicism is not popular in Britain. Alright. Let's see, there's HMS Ungulate. Take Archie his drug supplies. And rock on in. Someone to see you, Archie. Alright. Mention the Lapsus Londinensis. I infuse an edge of mockery into the whole. Of course I do. Archie lets this sink in. Suggest we'll be well rid of church interference. I took up how relieved I will be to be rid of a sanctimonious church. Yeah, well, don't mind me. You're the animals, give them the drug supplies I brought you your ingredients. I can't let you give those to Archie. They aren't dangerous. And would you know? Let's see, I'm going to spin Archie's attempt as scientific. Archie is seeking scientific truth. I put on this uniform. I carry certain responsibilities until I take it off again. I have to bring them when Harjit is not present. Alright. I need to change outfits. Need to wear the prisoner's coat to go in there. Alright. I have something else. Synagogue. Interview David about any motives for Ivy. You seem better at finding me than my sister is. Get his permission to ask some questions. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions about the murder? There are some things I don't understand. Better you than the news hounds, perhaps. But I'd still like to know what you think you can do with the answers. Talk about service to Rachel. For Rachel's sake, I want the real culprits found, whoever they are. If it isn't Archie, then they might still be a danger to your whole household. David hesitates between several temptations. I suppose anything I say to you is unlikely to get back to my relatives. I trust you'll make good use of what I tell you. No gossiping, no scandal-mongering, only use it in the cause of truth. After that, if it paints me as a weakling or a fool, so be it. Explore whether Ivy had a motive. Ivy Fitzclare, Rachel's seamstress. She was in the house the day you died. We didn't have any history, Ivy and I barely knew her. I suppose she may have a general distaste for gentlemen. There wouldn't have been any more personal reason, though. One speaks for a moment. You know what it's like, dying of poisoning? That's the part I can't speak about to Rachel or to anyone. Fortunately, it isn't what interests my visitors either. They want to talk about what comes afterward. The boat ride and the far shore and the great pale ice moths in the air. But it's the suffering when I was still alive. That's what I can't get out of my head, even if I tried not to think about it. Probably for more on ice moths. What's that mean? I saw them flutter past me to the far shore, and it seemed as though their wings were made of frost. It's not a pleasant thing, dying. My head ached, and my lungs were burning. I felt like there was a ball of fire in my gut. And then my body began to purge itself. I'll spare you the details. I think it must have been Phoebe who had to clean the place afterward. It's another indignity that I did to her. Made her face such a thing, I mean. It's a terrible sensation when you realize that your body is destroying itself, that it's being damaged beyond repair. You should take off that uniform. Yeah. That you're going to die, but you're nowhere near dead yet. Mock him for cowardice, for fuck's sake. And the fact that it wasn't finalized, I understand. You don't need to speak about it anymore. The worst thing is remembering death. I wish I could forget just that. Just forget what it was like. I don't suppose that's one of the miracles of the Neath. The ability to put a memory in a safe and sink it to the bottom of the Z. If anyone does know something like that, it will be Archie or perhaps Milton, not the people David would choose as confidants. I'll let him know if I hear of a way. If I do hear of any way, I will let you know. Thank you. Don't worry, I don't expect you will be able to. But if you did, I would be grateful. Help David forget death. Alright. Turn the subject to his life and business. In the old days, David spent many of his evenings contributing to various schemes for soup kitchens and housing in the poorer sections of Jewish London. Now those groups are in some disarray, and supplying soup also presents a greater challenge than it did. But David has hopes of establishing something again, perhaps with the permission of the masters. I'm afraid I can't entertain as long as I used to. Everything is always running too slowly, and yet every day is the same. David and I should be friends. I grin. It is almost time to eat. We'll go straight to the table. Alright. We have to take another run at getting Archie's stuff to him, and I'm going to need to wear the prisoner's coat for that, I think. Why is Grizz never here anymore? going straight on to sleep. It's not Ivy. They're at a loss here. As usual, I resort to the morning papers. Bazaar distributes Echo currency for purchase of food and fuel. The Echo has been introduced. We have our own script now. Not good outside of London, in all likelihood. Alrighty, and it is exactly the top of the hour. So, I do need to remind people of a few things before we depart. First, I'll be continuing on next week as we finish this run, and if we do finish this run, I'll be launching into another that'll be more of a speed run. I do want to poke at a few things, try a few different approaches, so I definitely will be doing a second run at this game. I won't be doing the voices and such for that. We'll be just ripping through it, see where the threads go. But as it says on the game screen, trans rights are human rights, and Black Lives Matter, and Indigenous Lives Matter, and land back is not a metaphor. And if we do not get through a few things and get over some things about ourselves, get our act together, we're not going to make it out of here. It's not. Either we all hang together, or we all hang separately. It seems. So, with that, and a pointer to the coffee link that has dropped into the chat every now and then, there are, of course, many other more worthy causes, but $1 a month helps keep me writing historical fiction. And I really want to get this done. I really want to finish this story. And I'm going to finish this one, the one that we just saw as well. We will move on next week. Until then,